Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How we doing today? So, going to go over some Commanders Dolphins talk, man. Kind of get into basically missed pretty much everything after the draft, all the way through training camp. Life is busy. It's hard to get into it. I actually did record a couple episodes, and then Laramie Tunsil got hurt, and I was like, man, this is so much to do, man. It really is. I watched so much college football, man. Like from the time the draft is over, man, I'm pretty much scouting all the way getting ready for the next college football season. So recording is kind of hard. I don't really get much following on my college football takes. So, it really is what it is. Even though that was the whole idea of this pod when I created it, Commanders Talk is really what gets the following. And even still, not that it really matters about the following. It's just I love college football. That's what I really love it doing. And so I kind of let it chill. Was about to just kind of let it go and then, watch the game. And something about preseason, man. Something about playing ball. Like I still play flag. I don't have my cleats up here because we actually just played this weekend. Yeah, man, football's life, man, for some people, man, and it's a beautiful game. It really does keep a lot of sanity together for some people. It also takes people's sanity when you have a Dan Snyder type owner, or, for Browns fans, or if you're just flat out a Philly fan. But that's nor here nor there, man. We're going to discuss this team. I like I said, man, I recorded a pod right before the Tunsil injury. Literally was about to post it, and 20 minutes later, about 20 minutes before I was posting, I saw the Tunsil injury. I was like, it just goes to figure, man. I'm about to get back on to posting this thing, and one of our premier players goes down. That has nothing to do with me, but it just I was like, maybe I should just let this go. And like I said, man, watched the Dolphins game, and it just hit me. I was like, man, I've been doing all this work on this next class, and the one thing that I really do love about scouting, the one thing, man, I'm going to kind of get off topic before I get into this, Ben, is I did my pod on the undrafted free agents, man. I said there were 4 guys, Fred Davis, and he kind of flashed before his injury this week in the Dolphins game. Robert Henry Jr., man, he was a guy that I'm really, really high on. A lot of people talk about the Texas A&M game, man, but if I watch college. I watch a ton of college. I watch so much college football that it's not even funny. Robert Henry Jr., man, if you watch UTSA, man, he is a horse. He is a load. He's a really good runner, good vision, explosive back. Everybody wants that 4-3 explosion, man. Everybody wants that run, man. But a lot of times it's those 4 or 5 guys at the running back position, man, that end up being the best running backs out there. Arian Foster, there's a ton of UDFA guys that have been running backs that have had really, really good careers. Robert Henry was a guy that I really thought should have been drafted. I would have been just as elated with him as I was with Kaytron Allen. I love Kaytron Allen, and I thought Kaytron Allen should have gone earlier than he did. Personally, for me, I'd keep both. It would be White, Bill, Kaytron, and Robert Henry Jr. for me at the running back position. I'm not the one there every day. I'm not the one that's in camp with them. I'm not AP. It's just what I know and what I see on tape. But there's a reason both of those guys are here, and they excelled against the Dolphins, man. So much football stuff to talk, man, and this is why I get into it, man. And then I talked about Jaden Bradley. Jaden Bradley kind of showed up a little bit, man, not just at the wide receiver position, but on teams. And I think this is a guy that has a really bright future. He's a local kid. Going to the math, I definitely know who this guy is. From around here. And then Malik Spencer, interception, flying around, hitting people, man. Like he is a guy that can play the safety position in the NFL. He can play at that level. I think he'd be a really good backup. I think he's got starter level upside. Another guy that I thought should have been drafted. And the funny thing is those are the 4 that I mentioned. And Drew Stevens today, if everybody saw the Jake Moody cut, Drew Stevens won. So another UDFA guy that's going to make the team. And that's what it is, man. That's what college football is all about, man. When you watch these guys, you watch them out of high school, like I said, Jaden Bradley's local. I've seen this guy a ton, coming out of high school and things like that. And then you watch other guys from, other states in high school, man. And then you follow them into college. Transfer portal makes it kind of hard but realistically, man, I stopped listing my players by team. I started just ranking them by positions, and then if they switch, it's a lot easier for me. It's something I've had to do over the last couple of years, and it's actually made my notes a little bit more effective for me as a scout. And it's honestly allowed me to do probably more reports on guys that, than I used to do in the past, and be a little bit more effective with it. I think even as a hit rate for me personally, I don't have some astronomical, batting average when it comes to hit rate, man. I have just as many misses as I have hits, and in fact, I probably have a lot more, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. I might be a little bit better than I used to be at the quarterback position scouting. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons over the years, and trust me, man, you think you learned a lesson because of one guy, the next guy will screw you on that same lesson. So I mean, it is what it is, man. It's everybody's different. Career trajectories are different. The places where they go are different. Situations, lives are different. And I mean, honestly, man, there's a lot that goes into it. But scouting is fun for me. It's what I love doing. But that's why I love this preseason, man. Like, a lot of people watch preseason and they're just waiting for, they're just glad football's back, but realistically, they're just waiting for the season. A lot of people gamble and things like that. I don't really get into any of that. But for me, drafting and developing it, watching it from like a scout's eye, man, being able to, especially when guys that you really, really love in college or from high school, maybe didn't go to a college that you like, but you really, really still, you still followed their career. Then they get to your team, and it's just gives you that little added bonus to kind of root for them. Especially like I'm a Miami U fan, so when Sean Taylor came here, Clinton Portis, Santana Moss, you get them guys, and it's just like you get to root for them again. It's really, really fun. It's really, really exciting. That's why I like Mikey Sammer still and things like that. I'm not a Michigan fan, but my best friend is, so I watched his whole career, watched him grow and develop. Glad he's here. I think there's still a lot of development to be tapped into. Ultimately, man, he's a playmaker when he's on the field. He's much better in game than he is in practice, man. Because I've trust me, dude. I've read all the Twitter reports, man. Mikey's burnt. Well, last year Mikey wasn't burnt, man, and he had the worst year I've ever seen him have, whether it be high school, college, or as a pro. So there you go, man. Practice is practice. Training camp is training camp. Take it with a grain of salt because it is what it is. Mikey Sammer still is going to be just fine on this team. He's got the right mental makeup for it, man. He's a dog. He's a fighter. He's a scrapper. And at the end of the day, he's a playmaker. And everybody remembers D Hall. Everybody remembers Antonio Cromartie. Like, at the end of the day, man, the playmaker guys, they get beat sometimes. That just is what it is, especially when you're 5'9" and 185 pounds. So Mikey Sammer still's not immune to anything that any of them other playmaking type corners are. He's going to get beat. It is what it is. Every cornerback gets beat. Patrick Surtain gets beat. Terry McLaurin had one of his best games of his career against Patrick Surtain last year. I thought might not show up on the stat sheet. It wasn't no 6 catches, $156 for 2 touchdown type game. But when I watched him on tape, it looked some of the best tape I'd ever seen Terry McLaurin in a complete game against an elite level cornerback. It was some of the best tape I've ever seen from him, and it was against Patrick Surtain, and that's my highest graded corner that I think I've ever given a grade for. So there you go. I mean, take it for what it is. That's just what it is, and that's the development of football. And the next time they play, it could be the exact opposite. And that's just what it is, man. That's what happens when you get pro on pro. The Laramie Tunsil injury, it sucked. I'm one of the bigger fans of Brandon Coleman. I never wanted to trade him. Happy he's still on this team, and I think it's going to, he's got a very critical job this year on protecting Jaden Daniels, man. A lot of people are talking about this Jaden Daniels number situation. I could give two shits. It's none of my business. What Jaden Daniels was promised, what he was told, none of my business. If he wants to recoup something, whatever it is, at the end of the day, somebody lies to you that, you appreciate it and, you've done a lot for, but they also did a lot for you kind of thing. It hurts your feelings. Things happen, man to man. It's none of my business, man. What Jaden tweeted at the end of the day, he's focused on his team. Everything I'm hearing from camp, every video I'm seeing from camp, all the things that I've ever known of Jaden Daniels from his time at Arizona State, from his time in high school, from his time at LSU to here. It's a non-story to me. It's completely just none of my business. What he does, what his family does in their personal life is none of my business. What I know what he does as a true professional, as a worker for his craft, he's special, man, and that's what it is. And I'm really excited to see what Jaden Daniels does on this team, especially with Stephon Diggs and guys like that. Stephon Diggs was actually somebody that I got into a lot when it came into, my last pod that I didn't even actually get a chance to, do anything with, because like I said, I just didn't even post it. It kind of kind of just got me, and it was what it was, man. But I'll put some clips on in the background, man. I meant to kind of do that earlier. I had some Robert Henry clips and things like that I was going to go over. But like I said, man, these undrafted free agents, man, I think we got 4 or 5 guys that could really make this team. And maybe it won't be, the 53-man roster, but, like Adam Peters always says, as Dan Quinn always says, it's them 70 guys, with the practice squad and things like that. I think we got some really, really good guys. I wouldn't put Robert Henry on my practice squad. It's that simple. I wouldn't even let a team try to snipe him from us. I think Robert Henry is a really, really good football player. I think he can play meaningful downs at the running back position. I think he can do it early, and I think he's got a really bright future. Another thing that I've seen in the Twitter sphere and things like that, which is kind of mind-boggling to me, is the Sonny Styles thing. I was going to kind of pull that up and kind of just go over that clip, but I figured I'll just let the game run behind us and I'll kind of talk about Sonny Styles. Linebackers take time, for one. 2, man, if you don't understand stylistically what is being asked of a player and what their responsibility is from one snap to the next, you're reaching. I mean, and to tell you the truth, it takes me watching a game 2 whole times. I got to watch it live, then I got to watch it back. And by the second time, I have a really, really good feel for what the defense was called. And to tell you the truth, it's the 3rd time that I watched the game when I know exactly what the play call was and the exact responsibility for each and every player. Most of the time, it's the 2nd time that I know, because I'm looking specifically for one thing. I know with Sonny Styles, its responsibilities were on most of those plays, and I thought he played pretty damn good with them. A lot of them he was asked to, pretty much drop back and be in his zone. And he maintained his gap responsibility. So again, man, linebackers don't come in day one and generally look like Hall of Famers. It doesn't really happen. So again, I take it for what you want, say what you want, but Sonny Styles is going to be a really, really good player in this league. I have no doubt about that. So again, anybody that wants to critique it off of one drive against the Miami Dolphins, who were run heavy on the first drive, got a touchdown early. Defense gave up a touchdown on the first drive. You don't want to see it. But, I can tell you right now that we had 2nd and 3rd string players that I think when it comes down to the final 53-man roster, that's pretty much where they're going to be. When I'm looking at Miami's complete first-team offense. It's not an excuse. I don't really care. It doesn't really make any difference here nor there. I mean, you want your 2nd strings to be able to, pretty much play starter level when they're on the field. You want your 3rd string players, if they got to play meaningful reps at some point in the season, to be able to handle their responsibilities. That's why they play in the preseason. I thought Sonny Styles looked good. The amount of ground that he covers when he's dropping and holding in zones, even when he's kind of maybe a step or 2 out of the, out of position. His recovery to get back in the right position is second to none to anything I've ever seen from the linebacker position. So from a guy that's basically in his 3rd year at that position, being a former safety coming out of high school and first, 2 years in college, first year in college, I'd say he's looking pretty damn good. So again, that's just another thing that I saw on the Twitter sphere from this game. A lot of knocks and things like that. I thought Jaden Bradley, in his snap in, snap out basis, his route definition, his route refinement, again, very bland, vanilla offense and things like that, man. But look good. I basically, the preseason to me is completely about rookies. Matt Gublin, the offensive center. He's our second string center. I know what Dan Quinn's doing. It is always a rookie earns their keep kind of thing. For me, but Julian Good-Jones is not the second best center on this roster. And honestly, Matt Gublin showed me a lot more in the pulling department than I thought we would see. These dogs. If you can hear me, somebody's at the door. It just would be that. Anyway, so to continue on with this. Anyway, we'll just continue. I think they're done. So anyway, Matt Gublin, man, pulled better than I expected. It's not something that he excelled at in college. Something I wasn't expecting to see. in this game, when we drafted him, knowing that we're a zone blocking scheme, I was kind of like, I had never seen it from him. I didn't think it was a necessarily great scheme fit. Great tape in college as a man up, center. Very refined, not the most natural, nimble athlete, which is another reason why I probably didn't have the highest grade on him. Didn't even think he was going to be on our draftable board. He proved me wrong, man. Got to the second level. He was a big reason why Robert Henry scored that one touchdown, man. Got to the edge, set it, took out the last defender, and then Henry was off to the races. And then there were multiple runs in the game where he got to the second level, got on the linebacker, Claude got his lane in the in the initial gap, and then got to the second level and did his thing, man. So Gublin looked good. Malik Spencer. Like I said, the interception, flying around the field, tackles, things like that. Jordan McGee, man. Jordan McGee, another guy that I've, liked on this team, liked him coming out of Temple. He really made his presence felt. I thought he had a really good game. Another player that I thought looked really good, and honestly, let's just stay at this position. In fact, let's stay at this position, man, because I talked about Jaden Bradley. He's a guy that I really like. I think he's practice squad. He's going to make the practice squad. He's got to. Honestly, I don't think a team snipes him. I don't think we're going to play him enough. I don't think he's going to get enough looks to really have to worry about that. But let's just be real, man. The wide receiver position, Terry McLaurin and Stephon Diggs did not play. Jalen Lane is a guy that I always thought was going to need 2 or 3 years of development. Same thing with Luke McCaffrey coming out. This year 2 for Jalen Lane. Jalen Lane looks like a much better receiver this year. You can see that from his tape, and you can see him getting open. And you saw him making the catches through contact, which is probably his biggest knock that I have for him as a wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey, it's clicked for him. He's only going to continue to get better. He's literally evolved step by step to what you want to see from where he was coming out of Rice. And then Antonio Williams. So Antonio Williams only had 1 catch. Antonio Williams is going to be a dude in this league. From everything I've seen in camp, from everything I've seen, just in the limited action that we're talking about from the Dolphins game, and then from the Dolphins joint practice, Antonio Williams is going to be he's going to be a really, really good player for this team. I like our tight ends. I've talked about Chika Kwanko. I've talked about Ben Sanat getting kind of some role in this. I think we're kind of masking him a little bit in the preseason right now. Colston Yankoff, man, this guy can play. The natural basic progression of a team is by year 3 you want to see an identity forming, and I can just tell there's an identity on this team, and I really, really am excited to see what this team shows this year, because there's a lot to be excited about going forward for this team. Tunsil, big, huge guy, elite level athlete. You can see what the priority is as far as the premier top level players for the team, but it's not just the premier top level players of the team that take you to the Super Bowl, man. It's the depth guys, and it's every level of the roster. And when I look at the personality traits, the worker trait, when I watch these guys in college, watch these guys in high school, they all have it. They're natural leaders. They're the leaders from their colleges that are being, accumulated on this team now through 3 drafts, 3 off seasons, 3 free agency sessions, man. And again, I haven't even, like I said, man, just getting into it, man, I haven't even gotten into Josh Josephs, who's looked really, really good in camp, kind of flashed a little bit in this game from the edge position for me. Didn't necessarily get a sack, but you see what they're talking about coming out of camp, man, all the reports and things like that, man. So again, I really, really love where this team is headed. And that said, that's no Odafe, that was no Caleb Chason. Deron Payne didn't play. I think this team is going to be pretty damn good this year. There's a lot of things that's got to go right for this team to be really, really good. But as long as JD5 is this team's quarterback, he's upright and he's healthy, I believe it's going to happen, man. I think this is going to be one of the best years of his career. And it might not be the best year of his career, statistically. I think it's just going to be nuancely, just organically, it's just going to be one of them years where I think JD5 just it just clicks. 2024 was like a magical season. I think this is going to be one of them years where he had not even a bad year. I can't even call what he had last year a bad year. It's just injuries and it sucked. This year, I think he's in the right offense that he needs to be in as a pro, and I think he's going to show exactly why, because I think JD5 knows he needs to stay healthy. I don't think it's going to be ran through his legs, and with everything that I saw in preseason, not even just of course you're trying to run and get out of a preseason game and get done healthy. You're trying to evaluate running backs, evaluate the offensive line, blocking schemes, and things like that. It's going to fit and it's going to work, and he's going to have a running game for the first time that I think he's had since he had Rashad White at Arizona State University, because he didn't have the best running game in LSU. And honestly, I'm just really, really excited, man. So from Cody, I mean, I honestly, like I said, I was kind of going to let this podcast kind of just wither away, man. But season's here, and honestly, playing football this weekend, football being back, when I just get so excited for scouting and stuff like that, and I'm so excited for college football to watch this year, because I know this next draft class is going to be something special, and I really think it's going to be the class that kind of takes this roster over the top, just from what I'm expecting from the cornerback position in college football next year, safety position from college football next year, to edge and wide receiver, and just positions that realistically we could take any of those four positions in the top frame of the first round and get the best player that's available in the draft, and it will be a Sonny Styles kind of level pick, regardless of what, player, regardless of where we're picking, whether it's in the 20s, teens, God forbid the top 5. But I'm just saying, I think we're going to get that type of level player regardless of where we're picking in the first round. I think it's going to be a cornerstone player. So again, just very excited to see what this team does this year. I really don't care about record. Just look better. Just look like the collection of talent that you have accrued in 3 off seasons, because I really do think it is something pretty special working here. And I think it's going to be a good year for the Commanders, man. Do I think they're going to win the division? I would love to see it. I don't know. I can't predict that. The Eagles are ultimately really, really, really amazing on defense, and the Cowboys are ultimately really, really amazing and do a great job of getting blue level players year in and year out. Whether it be through the draft, free agency, or trade, or whatever it is, they do it. And so I think the NFC East is going to be very, very tough. And I think we are a playoff caliber level team right now. I really, really do. I think we have a pretty good third quarterback. Marcus Mariota going down kind of sucks, because it really kind of affects what you want to do with Jaden Daniels in the second game of the preseason. I'd still play him. That said, I think that depends a lot more on Nick Allegretti being ready and actually in game shape to kind of go to where you're not really risking your projected day one, starting offensive center. If he's not ready to go, or you're kind of worried about risking him, I probably wouldn't play Jaden Daniels in game 2, but we'll see, man. It's the Detroit Lions, and they're going to be ready to play. We know how Dan Campbell is, man. They're going to play a preseason game like it's a regular season game. And this is the dress rehearsal game. So trust me, guys are going to be ready to play. And anybody that watched the Minnesota Vikings play the New York Giants in their preseason, man, like, quarterbacks will still get hit. If a defensive player can hit your team's quarterback, they're going to do it in the preseason. So again, man, it is what it is, man. But from the Blue Chip Podcast, like I said, man, I guess we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep running this thing back for you guys, and I appreciate anybody that watches and tunes in. This is the Miami Dolphins kind of, takeaways and things like that from the Washington Commanders Miami, preseason week 1 game. And, like I said, I'll keep this coming to you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man, and have a blessed, safe week with your families and everything like that, man. Stay safe. Peace.